Let's be honest, we live in an age of incredible comfort. Everything we could possibly want, every distraction we could ever crave, is usually just a click away. We feel safe. We feel secure. Our homes are our castles, our finances are managed, and our futures feel planned out and predictable. It's a peace we've built for ourselves, a world of carefully curated ease. But what if that feeling of security is actually a dangerous illusion? What if our comfort has become a kind of spiritual sedative, lulling us into a deep and perilous sleep? More than 2,700 years ago, the prophet Isaiah delivered a terrifying warning to women who felt just as comfortable and secure as many of us do today. It was a warning that their entire world was about to be shattered. And his words reveal how the very same spiritual blindness might be putting you in terrible danger right now. This isn't just a message about the past. This is for right now. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, God issues a stark and urgent cry to the women who are at ease and the complacent daughters. He doesn't call them out to condemn their gender, but because they had become living symbols of a society that had completely fallen asleep. A society that mistook its own prosperity for divine approval and confused comfort with spiritual safety. Their lives, much like ours, were filled with pleasant things and endless distractions, but their hearts were dangerously far from God, and He was about to get their attention in a way they could never have imagined. To really feel the weight of this prophecy, we have to go back to 8th century BC Judah. The prophet Isaiah was ministering when the nation was on edge. The shadow of the brutal Assyrian Empire loomed large, a terrifying military power known for its devastating and cruel tactics. Yet, inside the fortified walls of Jerusalem, a certain group of people seemed to be living in a bubble of blissful ignorance. Many commentators believe Isaiah was speaking directly to the affluent women of the city. He calls them the women who are at ease, the careless daughters. In the original Hebrew, these words carry a profound weight. They don't just describe laziness, but a deep-seated spiritual numbness. It's the attitude of being overconfident, self-satisfied, and convinced that disaster could never possibly touch them. They were enjoying the fruits of a prosperous society. Fine clothes, lavish parties, beautiful homes, all while the spiritual foundations of their nation were crumbling beneath their feet. Isaiah's prophecy wasn't just some random tirade. It was part of a larger, structured message from God. This specific warning in chapter 32 feels deliberately placed, nestled between a vision of a future righteous king and a promise of restoration through God's Spirit. This context is so important. It shows that God's warning wasn't just about fixing personal attitudes. It was about waking up an entire nation that had grown spiritually indifferent. The women were simply the most visible symptom of this national crisis. They embodied a culture that trusted more in its wealth, its city walls, and its social scene than in the Lord who had given them everything in the first place. Isaiah's message was a direct shot at their false sense of security. He was essentially saying, "You are living your lives as if nothing will ever change, but I'm telling you, everything you're relying on is about to be shaken to its core." This wasn't a threat born of anger, but a merciful alarm bell, a desperate plea for them to wake up before it was too late. The prophecy of stripped-down security. Isaiah's warning unfolds with a shocking and deliberate urgency. He doesn't start with a gentle suggestion. He starts with a command. "Rise up, you women who are at ease, hear my voice. You complacent daughters, give ear to my speech." This is the language of a pattern interrupt. He's demanding they break from their leisurely posture and listen like their lives depend on it, because they did. Then he delivers a stunningly specific timeline. In a little more than a year, you who feel secure will tremble. This wasn't some vague, far-off prediction. This was imminent. And the reason for their trembling? The grape harvest will fail, and the harvest of fruit will not come. For a society built on agriculture, this was a prophecy of total economic collapse. The very source of their wealth and celebrations was about to dry up. Their confidence was built on predictable abundance, and God was announcing that the predictability was over. Next, Isaiah commands a response that is the polar opposite of their comfortable lifestyle. Tremble, you complacent women. Shudder, you daughters who feel secure. Strip off your fine clothes and wrap yourselves in rags. Beat your breasts for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vines. He tells them to remove the very symbols of their luxury and self-assurance. The designer clothes that showed off their status were to be replaced with the sackcloth of mourning. The laughter of their parties was to be replaced with the wailing of grief. This wasn't about shaming them for having nice things. It was a call to recognize that an outwardly beautiful life can't cover for an inwardly unprepared soul. Finally, the prophecy describes the utter desolation that will follow. The land of my people, a land overgrown with thorns and briars. Yes, mourn for all houses of merriment and for this city of revelry. The fortress will be abandoned, the noisy city deserted. Citadel and watchtower will become a wasteland forever. The joyous city will fall silent. The homes they were so proud of will be overrun with thorns. The places they thought were secure will be left desolate. The message is brutally clear. Any security built on worldly comfort is fragile and can be taken away in an instant. God was showing them that He would remove the idols they trusted in, whether those idols were their harvests, their homes, or their parties. So, what does any of this have to do with us today? It's easy to read this and file it away as a historical account about some faraway people. But the spiritual condition of the careless women of Isaiah's day is terrifyingly relevant to our own. We may not live in ancient Judah, but we live in a culture that absolutely worships comfort and ease. Our society is built on the pursuit of happiness, satisfaction, and the elimination of any and all discomfort. Just as the women of Isaiah's day found their security in pleasant fields and fruitful vines, we find ours in a rising stock portfolio, a secure job, a full pantry, and endless entertainment streaming into our homes. We've become masters of curating a life free from inconvenience. We can order food, clothes, and groceries without leaving the couch. We can fill every quiet moment with podcasts, music, or the endless scroll of social media. We are, in every sense of the word, a people at ease. And in this state of ease, we become spiritually complacent. Complacency is a false peace. It's that subtle, creeping belief that we've arrived and no longer need to actively and urgently pursue God. If this message has spoken to you, please consider subscribing for more content that connects deep biblical truth to the challenges of modern life. God is calling you to awaken.